how do you talk about how? That's a great question. The word for how is zěnmeyàng. Now this is how to do something or how something happened. It's not the word how like how tall or how wonderful that is. It's neither of those things. It's the word, it's how something happens. So we have zěnmeyàng. Here's an example sentence. 到电影院怎么走?到电影院怎么走? 到 means to or to go to arrive. 电影院 means movie theater. 怎么走, how to go. So the question is you're asking directions, how to get to the movie theater. Now you'll notice that in Chinese, when asking general questions about how to do something or how to get somewhere, that kind of thing, you don't use the word you. Like in English, we say, how do you get to the movie theater? But the you doesn't mean you, it means a general, like how does one get to the movie theater? In Chinese, you don't have a subject in that kind of sentence. It was kind of like saying in English, how to get to the movie theater? But that doesn't sound good in English, but that's how it sounds, that's how it would be like a direct translation. How to get to the movie theater. And that's perfectly fine in Chinese, you just have no subject at all. So 到电影院怎么走? Now you might, if you're thinking, if you've noticed, 走, I said it means go, but you know like the word for go is 去. Well, what am I doing here? 走 literally means to walk, but it means it's the process of traveling. It's the process of walking or going somewhere, as opposed to 去, which is the idea of destination. 去is the idea of I want to go from here to there. It's the main idea is going to a destination. Where 走 is the idea of the process of walking or going. And so in this sentence, I could actually put a 去 here. 去电影院怎么走? So to go to the movie theater destination, what's the process of going? Does that make sense? That's a little bit confusing. 走 is a little bit, it can be a little confusing to know when to use 走 and 去, because in English we basically just say go all the time, but you'll get used to it. 到电影院怎么走? Here we have 这个怎么吃? 这个 means this. 怎么吃 means how to eat. So 这个怎么吃? Well, you don't eat cell phones, but let's say I had something in my hands that I'd never seen before, something in front of me that I'd never seen before. I say 这个怎么吃? And the answer could be 用手, use your hands, or it could be 用筷子, use chopsticks. And then also I wanted to point out that 怎么, and we'll talk about this in a future lesson, but 怎么 can also be used in the idea of saying why, very similar to the English phrase how come. So we can say why, why did you go there? Or we could say how come you didn't come yesterday? How come you didn't do your homework yesterday? It's a very similar idea. It's a little colloquial feeling. And so here's an example. 你怎么没有看电影? 你怎么没有看电影? So 没有看电影. Remember, if this 没有 is a way to negate a past action. So saying that an action in the past did not happen. 没有看电影, so did not watch a movie. You, how come, did not watch movie? So that could be you're saying to somebody, why didn't you come watch the movie with us yesterday? But in context, it would make sense because I'm not clarifying all those like who it was. But 你怎么没有看电影? Why? You, how come, not watch movie? That's 怎么. There's another really awesome question phrase that has 怎么 in it, and you just add another character, another syllable at the end. 怎么样? 怎么样? 怎么样 is a very flexible, very useful phrase that means something like, how is it? What's it like? How was it? So it's a very general like, what's it like or how was it kind of thing. Or how's it going? That kind of idea. So that it's just subject plus 怎么样. So you want to ask about something. What was it like? What is it like? Or what do you think? It's a good idea? Whatever. 怎么样. So you can also use it to sort of make a suggestion, as we'll see in our last example here. Here are some examples. 广州菜怎么样? 广州菜, Guangzhou is a place, a city. 菜 is food, so Guangzhou food. 广州 food 怎么样? How's the Guangzhou food? What's it like? Or how's the food in Guangzhou? Or what's Guangzhou food like? So very flexible. You just say the thing and then 怎么样? What is it like? Or how was it? How did it go? That kind of thing. 你最近怎么样? 你最近怎么样? This is a great phrase to know, and I'll explain why in a second. 你最近怎么样? You recently 最近怎么样? So you recently, how are you? How have you been? So it's like saying how have you been recently, or how have you been? And the reason this is such an important phrase, it's a good way to use to say what we want to say, but Chinese people don't actually say, and that is 你好吗? In Chinese, the phrase 你好吗 is very rarely used. It's one of the first things you learn when learning Chinese, and it's great. It seems convenient because in English we say how are you all the time. We say it as a basic greeting. How are you? And we say it as a question, like how have you been recently, when you really want an answer. But in both those cases, Chinese people don't actually say 你好吗. As a greeting, they use other ways to say. They just say, hi, or 你吃了吗? Those kinds of things. But and if they really want to know how have you been recently, they use a phrase that's like this. So 你最近怎么样? So you can use that to replace, hey, how have you been? When you really want an answer from somebody. And then here we have 你觉得去看电影怎么样? This is a complicated sentence for beginners, but let's go through it. 你觉得. So this means what to think or feel. So it's when you're asking for an opinion from somebody, you use this word. 你觉得去看电影, to go watch movie. You think go watch movie 怎么样? So this is actually kind of a suggestion. What would you think of going to watch a movie? 你觉得去看电影怎么样? So there's 怎么样, super helpful. Well, since we're talking about how, let's talk about another way to say how. And this how is the how as in how, it's talking about degree. So it's not how does something happen, but it's like how big, how small, how wide, that kind of thing. So we're inquiring about degree. But we use the English word how, but it's talking about degree. In Chinese, it's a different word. It's 多. 多 can mean many, much. You saw it in 多少, meaning how many or how much. But by itself, in this context, if it's 多 plus adjective in a sentence form, then it is a question, meaning the degree of the adjective. So here we go. 你多高? 高 is high or tall, in this case tall. So you how tall? You how tall? How tall are you? 你多高? Here's another one. 今天天气多热? 今天天气. So this is today's weather. Today, the weather, how hot? So how hot is it today? 今天天气多热? How hot is the weather today? And so again, it's like subject and then how, 多, meaning how, and then adjective. 多 adjective. Here we have a nice long phrase. 去电影院要多长时间? The 多 is right here. 多长时间? So here we have go to the movie theater. 去电影院要. This means, in this case, it means requires or needs. 多长时间? How long time? So in English, we would just say how long. How long does it take to get to the movie theater? 去电影院, going to the movie theater, 要多长时间? So that's how, that's 多 meaning how in degree. You may notice, if you're really paying attention, you might notice that this time phrase, how long, how much time, 多长时间, is at the end of the sentence. And you might say, hey, Eldon, didn't you say that time phrases are always right before or after the subject? And that's true, but they're different kinds of time phrases. And we'll go over this another day, but the time about when something happened, the point at which it happened, or the time within when it happened, would go before or after the subject. But when we're talking about duration or how long something happened, then it goes at a different spot. That's a grammar point for another day.